Unemployed and Afraid acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this episode on and of the land where you, the listener, are tuning in from. We would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and extend our respect to any First Nations, Aboriginal, and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today, acknowledging that this always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
Welcome to Unemployed and Afraid, a podcast that explores the glorious mess of building brands, businesses, and a career you love with the people who've done it. I'm your host, Kim Curtin. Thank you for being here. Let's get into today's story of starting over. Welcome back, business builder, to another episode of Unemployed and Afraid. It is so great to have you here. This episode has me musing on the amount of work that goes into building a business, the hours, the slog, the hair-pulling frustrations. It really is like nothing else. Like, I did some serious hours in my corporate career. I'm, talking 60, 70 plus hours a week, more. You get the vibe. But your own business, that's like proper fuck right off hours. Excuse my passionate language. And even when you're done for the day, your mind is still churning. It really is pretty full on. And I'm going to say it, if your friends and your family aren't in it, they probably don't get it. There can sometimes be an air of expectations around your flexibility, how you spend your days, maybe a little bit of grass is greener for you type vibe. It is a killer because in reality, we know it's more work than can be easily explained, and it is tough going. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, I see you, I feel you. This is your safe space to scream out, do you know how bloody hard this is? And in a lot of instances, do you know how little money I'm actually earning? I'm really selling it, aren't I? Really selling the dream. But we also know that when you have the desire to build something for yourself, it doesn't matter how hard it is. The rewards when they come along, like a thoughtful message, a positive review, a big sales period, a period of massive personal growth, are just so very worth it. My guests today absolutely get what I am talking about. Jacinta and Alicia are sisters building the most magical business, Little Potion Co. And on today's episode, we chat about their experience working with family, waiting to take the leap to go all in until you can pay yourself just enough to get by, the value in building a community and really enjoying it while you do, about scaling up to hire staff permanently and the new gamut of fear that process induces. We talk a lot about trademarking, which I'm absolutely fascinated by. It's such an important topic, and so much more. We're here to bring you the stories of business building to support you as you go through it. I hope you get a bucket load of value from this glorious story. I'm joined today by the two amazing sisters behind the brand of the Little Potion Co. Meet the wonderful Jacinta and Alicia. These Melbourne gals create the most adorable mindful potion kits for kids that support their emotions, empower them to be confident, and find their inner magic. And that's their aim, to bring back the magic of childhood. A business that started on a kitchen table and ended up winning the Life in Style New Breed Scholarship and a Clean and Conscious Award, secured the trademarking of the Little Potion Co. and Mindful Magic, tripling year-on-year growth, and stocking in over 100 beautiful stores in Australia, including on the iconic and in the National Museum of Australia. And naturally, they got matching tattoos of their logo, as you do. I really hope we get to see those. We know that with all this success comes a lot of grit, lessons, and crazy moments that don't ever really stop. And I'm here for all of the stories. Jacinta and Alicia, welcome to Unemployed and Afraid.
Hello. Thank you for having us. Very exciting.
It's so great to have you both. And I start to usually ask, how would your best friend describe it? How would your husband, partner, wife, anyone describe you? But I would love to know for you guys how you would describe each other. So maybe, Jacinta, how do you think Alicia would describe you?
I guess she would say I'm pretty creative. I'm her best friend. I can sometimes be a little hot-headed, maybe. I tend to jump into things without sort of thinking what comes next. And I talk a lot. Yes. You do. But I would also say that you're very kind and loyal and really good business partner and mother and friend as well.
Oh, well, that's lovely. We're going to have to take that out and just give you that little edit. So when times get a little hairy, we'll just remind you of that. Alicia, same question to you. How would Jacinta describe you?
Well, I think she would say that I'm always late. I think she thinks I'm caring and kind as well. I am kind of the opposite to Jacinta in that I tend to think about things more, and which means I can also find it hard to make a decision, but we kind of complement each other that way. I think that she jumps into things and I go, hang on a minute, and then we meet in the middle. So
yeah, and I would also say Alicia is also a very creative person, but she doesn't realize that. She is amazing at what she does. She puts her whole heart into everything that she does. She's definitely an empath and feels everyone's emotions. We're probably both a lot of that.
say that about you too.
Yeah. But yeah, she's a beautiful person. And I love having her around.
Oh, that's so special. I love to see relationships like that in family, but also in business. It's very cool that you've merged the two.
Yeah, we did actually spend a lot of time away from each other in our 20s. So I lived overseas for 7 years and we didn't really speak a lot in that time. So it's quite amazing that we've kind of come back together. I think kids does that to you as well. And now we've got this business together where we speak every minute of the day pretty much.
We leave work and then we still ring each other in the car and still talking.
I think that's something shared by quite a few people in business partnership, isn't it? You just get those ideas sometimes in the shower or in the drive home or just when you're not meant to have them. You just got to get that out.
Mine is always in the shower.
Me too. Alicia, before we talk a bit about the journey that you guys went on together in creating this, let's go back in your world a little bit. So before the Little Potion Co., who were you?
Oh, I was all over the place. I've had so many jobs, so many different lives, I feel like. I moved overseas when I was 23. I finished school, wanted to do drama, didn't get in. So I went and studied anthropology and philosophy for a year. Then I left that. I went overseas at 23. I lived in Edinburgh for a year and then moved to Swansea in Wales, where our grandfather was born, and we've got family there. And I ended up living there for 6 years. So I did lots of retail, hospitality. I then met someone who was studying surface pattern design over there. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of that before. And so I went and studied a foundation art and design so I could get into that course. Yeah, you were saying I'm creative. And yes, I do think I'm creative, but just in a different way, more like not artistic like Jacinta is. She's a real artist, kind of grew up drawing, and mine was more crafting and creating with my hands. So yeah, studied that. Then I moved back home at 30 and studied a degree in textile design, majoring in weave. So that's where I got to use my hands a lot, and that's where I got a lot of my computer design skills that I use in our job today. And yeah, this is now the longest job I've ever had. At 44 years of age, I think we've been doing this for 4 years now. And after that, I worked for a few small businesses, and then I opened up a shop. I live in the country with my husband, and we have a little chapel on our property, and I opened up a little gift shop that's selling all Australian made arts and crafts and design.
Wow, so much study and learning. Do you feel like you're a little bit of a lifelong learner? Do you think there might be some future things for you?
I do, absolutely. I feel like, I don't know if I would study again. Who knows? Maybe. I feel like I'm learning every day. That's why I'm always listening to podcasts, reading different things and research. And I love researching and do a lot of that.
Lots of business courses.
Yeah, I do a lot of learning in business courses and things like that. I actually did a business short course, how to start a business as well when I finished uni, and lots of.
It sounds like they all would have come in pretty handy.
Yes, I think all of my skills have finally come together for this business, which is I finally found a passion that I'm really passionate about. So that's exciting.
That is exciting. Jacinta, how about you? Before this amazing business that you have today, who were you?
So mine is, like Alicia said, we're very different in, I guess, what we've done in life up until this point. So when I left school, I went straight to uni to do interior design. So I did a diploma of interior design. I've always been creative in doing arts, in painting and drawing. So I decided, to put that into styling. So I finished that. After doing that, I worked in, I guess, sort of products that aligned with interiors. So I worked at a couple of tile stores, so designing sort of bathrooms and things like that, until I finally got a job at Melbourne's sort of biggest builder called Metricon Homes. So I've actually worked for Metricon Homes for the last 15 years. So as opposed to Alicia that, moved overseas, my husband and I have been together since I was 17 years old. We built a house at 24. Then we got married. So quite different to Alicia's. I've pretty much sort of had this one job my whole entire career. I started with them choosing colours for customers. And then I actually left for 11 months to go somewhere else as I wanted to keep sort of moving in careers, and that opportunity wasn't available at Metricon in those 11 months. But then they asked me to come back and I joined their display team, and that's where I was for the last 10 years, was doing actual display homes. So as opposed to having customers, I was pretty much my own customer and designed amazing show homes or display homes. And that was my dream job. I never thought I was going to leave that place. But I had children, and I have a 8-year-old. And at the time when he was about 5 or 6, he's very creative and he wanted a potion kit. And I couldn't find anything of what I wanted him to have. But there was a lot of sort of science kind of plasticky things out there that I thought he'll play with that for 5 minutes. So I guess the designer in me designed one. So I made one for him for Christmas. So using lots of sort of glass vials and beakers and things like that. And at that stage, he still is obsessed with anything kind of spooky. Halloween, he still says Halloween's his favorite holiday, even though it's not a holiday for us in Australia. But he was obsessed with vampires and werewolves and things. So I tried to kind of give him ingredients that I wanted it to also be natural things. It wasn't going to, affect our garden and things if he poured them in the garden. So I started creating that, and I started talking to Alicia about how amazing this kit was and how I thought there's nothing like this on the market. And at that stage, we were thinking an actual potion wooden box with little glass vials. And that was sort of the idea. And I started talking to Alicia, and she was like, oh, such a really good idea. I want in. And then we started talking about like bringing this out for children and how we could actually make real magic happen for children. I mean, we know that all children want to believe in magic. They want to believe that they can fly and they can do anything. And obviously, so we wanted to create spells and potions that could come true. So as opposed to turning someone into a frog, we were like, okay, well, there's love spells, but what about a self-love spell? Because you can fall in love with yourself, and a spell for confidence, because it's that mind over matter, like just creating that magic and using affirmations to believe in yourself. And that was how it started.
Wow. I love how organic, pardon the pun, I guess, because of your priorities, but I love how organic that is in terms of an idea, something that you're just following an instinct, just doing something, and you're like, hang on a minute, this is an idea and I'm passionate about it. That's so exciting.
Yeah. And, from that, we still continued doing our own jobs for, I think, like the next 2 years. I still worked at Metricon, and then we'd work at night at home on our kitchen benches, and Alicia had her shop. And then when she had no customers, she was out the back trying to make potions.
And so I worked, I had my own shop, and then I was selling, lots of kids products as well. I sold a lot of affirmation cards, and I was always doing those with my daughter and reading them. And I thought this would be such a great add on to our kits. So we then, designed the affirmation cards that go with our kits as well, just to promote that extra. It was really great actually that I had my shop, because we were able to kind of test it out with my customers. So,
what were the first steps that you took in making it a business? So, I mean, I'm envisioning just the funnest, messiest kitchen tables for a while, just mixing potions and little things and just like a Harry Potter scene.
I still have plants that have glitter on them.
Before we use the bio glitter?
It was still the bio glitter, but we use a product called mica. And so when you start using that inside a house and it starts floating around the house and then has to settle on things like dust, but it's glitter dust, and my plants like still have this shimmer on them.
I feel like anyone that comes into your house would just leave with a little shine. Like, I'm envisioning, partners going out into the world to see like a little pink or purple sheen to their skin.
Well, it's actually probably because your husband still does some work from home.
Yes.
So he's still packaging some of the products at home. So it's a bit of extra income for him.
That's so brilliant. So when you were cooking, I guess, cooking up these ideas, these kits, when did you start to make it real and make it into something that you could sell as an offering?
Yeah, well, I think we'd started off with the box idea, and then I just kept coming back to this, but how are people are going to use the ingredients and then they're going to want to refill it. So then, we still to this day haven't got around to refill. Well, we've got our liquid refills, but just then we kind of thought, well, how about if we had it in a box that's actually got all the ingredients in it? Yeah, it's all that kind of business stuff where you work out that the product that you want isn't necessarily the product that's going to sell the best.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to use glass, and we started researching, and we bought our first lot of little glass vials with cork tops from a wholesaler. So cute. And they were so cute. And they are still sitting at the warehouse now, because after we broke a few just trying to use them with ingredients and drop them on the ground, we realized we can't do this for children. They cannot be glass. It was just...
Even just the postage as well, we just knew that it would be such a big issue. We tried little droppers, and I had a girlfriend who tested it with hers, and of course we put like 3+ on it, but her 2-year-old got a hold of it and kind of bit on it, and she's like, yeah, I don't think, even though she was like, I want glass, I think it would be amazing, we keep an eye on the kids, but then after that she's like, yeah, I think it might be best if you don't use glass. But we had to do a lot of, we couldn't get insurance either.
Yeah.
Wow.
With kids is really difficult.
Yeah. So we had to, we did a lot of research. We wanted to, obviously, yes, they had to be a plastics, so for our liquids. So we did a lot of research and finally found something that we felt would not just be disposable, and we now have our liquid bottles to be reused. Most of our customers just rebottle up their potions in them and keep them as little keepsakes and little potions. We do have on our website too, if someone has actually finished their potion journey, they can actually post them back to us and we will reuse them as well.
Yeah. And they're watertight as well. Like, we couldn't have done the cork. I could just imagine any spillages with those. So I think it all worked out well in the end, and that's developed over time as well. We used to sticker all of our bottles because we, when you start out, you kind of work out your costings. We knew we wanted to wholesale right from the beginning. I guess because I had my shop as well, and I knew that it would be a good seller, so we incorporated that into our costings. And so we're just trying to find the best way to do it. And at the time we couldn't afford to get them printed, so we were doing stickers on the bottles and hand stamping the bags. And it was about a year in or 2 years in that we managed to get them. We get them all printed now ourselves and sent to us. But back in the beginning, I remember Jacinta, because that was what she did at work. She's like working on the colors and just kind of putting different things together. And until we finally had a kit that we were happy with, we had to find a printer, and we kind of started off the price that we kind of projected how many we'd have to sell to get it to the price we wanted it to. So at the first we launched retail. So we knew that we didn't have the margin to sell it at wholesale, but we knew that once we got to be able to order in, 1,000 lots, then we'd be able to get the price down enough to be able to wholesale it. We had our own website, but we built up a really good following already on Instagram.
Yeah. So we started the Instagram. I think we probably had the Instagram maybe like 5 or 6 months before we actually released our new product. So
I think it was actually longer than that.
Yeah.
It looks like it was like a year, but
So was that before any product was available to purchase that you started?
So I think when we launched, we had maybe, I think it was about 700 or 800 followers, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but
No, I mean, with no product, it's great.
Exactly. Yeah. So when we did finally launch and we did this huge sort of 10-day countdown is when we really started showing people each individual product of what you get in the kit. And the day we launched, we hit go on our website to open. I think it was at like 7:00 or something that night. We had 2 kits. We had 2 kits and we had 20 of each. That was all we had. And we opened the website and within 2 minutes, we had our first order. So those people were waiting. They had been following us and had been waiting. And when we sold those whole 40 kits within the first 2 weeks, we were like, oh, maybe we've got something here.
That's so exciting. I have 2 questions for you. I'm going to start with the audience building one. So when you're in the mode of, okay, we know what we're going to have eventually, we're still working through it, but let's start this brand. Let's get this brand out there. Let's start to connect with people. What strategies did you use? What sort of things did you share? How did you bring people to your page?
The first original pictures, probably like anyone else, people use like references to what your brand is going to be. So we had sort of lots of magical images, I guess. So, we knew it was going to be magic. We were going to have fairies and we were going to have mermaids and things like that. So we had, if you go all the way back to the start of our Instagram, some of the very first images are probably even just a pattern of like a mermaid's tail or something like that. And we started talking about what our brand will be doing. And then as we started to trial and test products, we would start to sort of show some photos of what those would be, and then started moving on to kind of a little bit of storytelling. We write stories about every ingredient. They all have their own story about their origins and their magical abilities. So we did start to kind of write some of those in our social media to kind of start to give people the idea of what the kit would be about.
That's brilliant. I love that. And my second question for you is I want to go back to that 2-minute window. So you can drop yourself back there. So you've hit live at 7 p.m. and you've got 2 minutes just sitting there until that sale came through. How did they feel?
It was probably even less, to be honest.
It was pretty quick. We got our first order. I don't think it was someone we knew either.
No, but she literally lived a town over from Alicia. So Alicia lives in a place called Gordon, and she's in Wallace, which is another little country town, but we didn't know her. Yeah, so whether or not somehow she had found who we were because of where Alicia lived.
Because I had the shop. Probably.
And that you had the shop, but it wasn't a friend.
Oh, isn't it so nice that you remember?
Yeah, you dropped it off
at her house.
You really can't forget that first customer, that first person who comes through the door. That's such an exciting moment.
And we have had so many amazing, beautiful customers since. We get the best feedback from our customers. It makes all the hard work just absolutely worth it. And we cry daily reading the messages from our customers about the way that it's helped with their child's emotions or help them to calm down or help them get through a difficult event, or it's really fueled us growing our business as well.
Especially in those hard times when you think you're working so much and is it worth it? And then you get messages on Christmas Day from customers saying how incredible that their children just opened their present from under the tree and they're now not even looking at any of the other presents. And I said to Alicia, this amazing person has stopped on Christmas Day, on a day that is, you generally are all just focused on yourself and your family. And she's taken a moment to message a business, a brand that she doesn't even know, not a friend, to say thank you. And like that that was just this Christmas. And I said to Alicia, that means everything. Like that, I don't message brands on Christmas Day to say thank you.
That goes to show the relationship that we have with our customers as well. We are pretty active on social media, much to our husbands. What's the word? Yes. But we're very
engaging with our customers, and I think we feel like our customers are more than customers. They're friends. There's so many amazing people that we have met, or even on our social medias that we talk to daily. That they've only come from knowing them on Instagram. And, it's so great when we get an order come through and we're like, oh, we know that name. And that happens often. So appreciative of all of them.
Do you think that comes from showing up yourselves as people on your brand's page as well?
Yeah, it's kind of dropped off a bit lately because we've been so busy, but yeah, we do try and get on the stories. And I think we've still got a lot of like a pinned post at the top about us. And we have a lot of blog posts and stories about us. And yeah, I think we're quite open with ourselves and our lives as well. And yeah, I do feel like people feel like they know us. I think that probably does help. And they know that everything we do is for them, I guess.
And yeah, and I guess because we're very chatty people, so we love a chat. So if anyone sends us a DM, there are not many that I would not get back to. And if I haven't got back to them, it's literally because I didn't see it. But most, we are always talking to people. Anyone that comments on our posts, there are always us commenting back.
Yeah, it's just us. It's no
just
social
us.
media team. And we do a lot of voice messages as well. And I think it's easier because you can do it while you're doing, you don't have to sit there and type, but also it, builds that connection. And I've actually seen a lot of people doing video messages lately. So maybe that's something that we'll try out sometime because
yes, that's so fun. I actually had a person who's been on my podcast and that's how she reached out to me. She sent me a couple of video messages into the DMs. We're like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'd love to come on the pod. And I was like, oh my God, you're adorable. And I love that. So it's something I think that grows over time in terms of putting yourself out there. And I love that you mentioned voice messages. It's a good reminder for me, but I do really think that they are so engaging in building an audience because it puts a real person there. It feels just so relatable.
And I will say that it hasn't always been easy for me. I think it's a lot easier for Jacinta the experience that she's had. But for me, and I've always been a lot quieter and I was really shy growing up. And I still literally remember the first time I got on stories, not for this business, but for my shop. And I recorded it about 10 times and I felt so sick while I was doing it. It is not, you look at us now and you think it comes easily, but it is something that if you feel nervous about it, you do have to build up to it. I still remember the first time that I did it. And I think there was like 10 people that watched it or something. And, they were probably all my family and I still felt so sick doing it. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And now it's just second nature now. And I think also because we do consider the people on the other end, our friends, our magic makers, we call them. Yeah, it's a lot easier then to imagine them on the other end. It's not, even though we've got, 25,000 followers now, we're still just talking to our friends on the other end. So
yeah, you're so right about building confidence in that. If anybody ever gets hold of my phone and my camera roll, and if they go back far enough, they'll find I went through a series of confidence building exercises for myself and to be able to show up on the socials because like you, it's something that I struggle with. I love talking behind the microphone because people can't see me, but actually doing face and voice together. And so I sat in the lounge room and I recorded just myself gibbering into the phone. Like it's just in my camera roll. It's like, hi, I'm talking to my phone so that I can get comfortable talking to my phone and seeing my voice and seeing my face and speaking about, and like I had the most ridiculous conversations with myself. They're so funny. I think I started walking through the house. I fell over at one point like this. It's just ridiculous. But you are absolutely right in that it's a learned skill like anything in business, but showing up, if it's something that's right for your audience and will help you grow, it's just something you've got to do and try and just build that muscle in any way that you can. It's great that you pushed yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, it does help that we have each other as well. But, when I started, it was just me, but I don't know, maybe get a friend to have a chat with you. I don't know, something different.
I would love to hear the story about going in full time. Of course, a 15-year career and a wonderful career and just everything that's going on in both of your lives. Tell me about how you knew when to go in full time and what that experience was like.
So I had the shop and I was kind of doing this on the side and then kind of worked up to a point where we were working out of Jacinta's backyard. Her and her husband had built an office out the back where they were meant to be working for their corporate jobs. And then we kind of took over out there, and then I was driving to Jacinta's house. So you were working at night. We had Brett, her husband, helping out. Yeah, there was lots of that kind of thing. And then I got to a point where I thought, I can't. It was a real struggle because my shop was only open on the weekends. So I was doing so many hours and it just got so hard, and I could see so much potential with the Little Potion Co. So I decided that I would close my shop to focus on this more so. And I think you might have gone down in hours then, did you?
Yeah. So when it started to get busier, obviously I was still working. I went down to 4 days when I had children. So I always had a Friday off. And the idea was, so my first got all my attention on a Friday because I didn't have the Little Potion Co. But by the time I had my second, Jensen, we pretty much started the Potion Co. I think by the time he was 2. So the Fridays became days that Alicia and I were working with each other, and Jensen and Odessa just played at our house while we worked. But it got to a point where I was working all those days at Metricon, driving 2 hours to work and back, and then getting the kids to bed and then working till 12 o'clock at night. So I was like, I can't keep doing this. So I had to decide. And at that stage, yeah, it wasn't just me in the business, like it was Alicia as well. And we knew it was either we had to completely stop it because we couldn't keep up, or we needed to take that leap and do it together. And I think, knowing that it was my sister and a family business that we could really create something together, I think was, probably that final thing. So I went down to 1 day a week.
Because she tried to leave and they wouldn't let her.
Yeah, I tried to leave and they said, well, we don't want you to leave. So what can you give us? And I said, okay, I can give you 1 day. But trying to work for them doing displays 1 day a week, it was just hectic. I wasn't still doing 1 day. There were days we would be in the studio working on the Potion Co, and then I would have my emails from Metricon and go, oh, okay, I've just got to quickly jump on and do this. And then I'd go back, and it was at a point where I was like, my brain is so exhausted because I was kept having to flip between jobs, like put a different hat on, I guess. And that was all still during COVID time. So,
that was
so, with COVID, and then when in Melbourne, where we had the longest lockdowns, there were times where I was teaching my child prep, being a daycare for my other son, working for Metricon and trying to do the Potion Co. kind of all on my own because Alicia wasn't allowed to come for a number of that because she was in the country. So
it's regional.
Yeah, we knew we had to do something. So I finally took that leap and I left Metricon officially be a year and a little bit now. So it really wasn't that, like, first sort of 2 years of our business. Yeah, I still pretty much worked full time because I didn't have yeah, and I guess the difference was I had always been quite financially did well from my job. So we had to wait till we built up the Potion Co enough that I could be paid. So, those first 2 years, we didn't pay ourselves 1 cent of money. But for me to leave Metricon, we had to know that I could pay ourselves. And when I say pay, we paid ourselves $500 a week. That was it. That was all we could afford. I mean, it's probably not much more now, but yeah, we sort of were like, right, what's the bare minimum we need that we can make this business work?
Those COVID times, they were tough. But in saying that, it absolutely was great for our business, even though it was so extremely hard in those times, actually growing a business, having all those people at home that needed something to keep their kids entertained while they were trying to work. It was actually probably really good for our business in that way.
I love that you touch on finances because I think that's really important, and it's something I always try to get stuck into in this podcast because I think we don't talk about that often enough. And you go out and you start a business and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy. And yes, you're making sales and money's coming through the door, but it's not necessarily money that you can take and pay an electricity bill with, which is, something that takes a while to resonate with. Is your intention for the business to be profitable enough that you fully can live on it? Is it maybe an intention that down the line you might be acquired, or, where are your financial goals at this stage?
I think it would be great for people to understand that we weren't people that had money to start a business. We literally put $500 each of ourselves in, and then we made those 40 sales, and then that money we used to buy 100. Then we sold those 100, and then we used that to buy 200. We're not people that had money, but like that invested and to start a business and had 10 grand to start a business. Like we have bit by bit. So you know, whether or not you want to start it there to go to now what we've got and where we want to go.
Yeah, so we built it bit by bit. Then a year ago, and we've got staff as well now. Our product is very handmade, so we can't make it all ourselves. So we started off with one staff member when we were in Jacinta's backyard. It was one of her school mum friends before COVID, when you could actually send your kids to school. She met this gorgeous lady, Jess, at the school gate. And then I still remember when you came and you were like, she's going to think I'm crazy asking her to come and work in my backyard. But she ended up, asking her to work, and she said, yeah, okay, we'll give it a go. And she's still with us now. Then I met another of our staff members, Steph. I met her on Clubhouse. She had her own business. And
when Clubhouse was a thing.
Yeah, we were in this business thing together. And then I was watching her stories. I'm like, oh, she seems nice. It's like, Jacinta, do you mind if I ask her to come in and help? And she's like, okay, that's my backyard, but I'm just inviting someone you don't know.
I'm a random person coming to my house.
But she was great. She's still with us now. Our next staff member, Bo, that was the first time we advertised, and we knew as soon as we got her resume that she was going to be our gal, and she's still there now. So yeah, we're having to pay staff now. We moved into a warehouse. We've got so many expenses coming out. Our staff are getting paid more than we are. And we're at that point now where we've had offers of investment in our business. We are not ready to give up yet.
We have too much we want to still do.
And we know the potential. And obviously these investors know the potential of our business as well. And yes, we might need to get a loan to grow the business as quick as it is wanting to grow. But we're not ready to sell it yet. We've got too many ideas of things. And, I know we're in our 40s, but we're still young. We've still got, a big career ahead of us. We need, somewhere to go. So, and we would be totally bored just sitting at home, not working. So, we're just about to kind of potentially take on our staff permanently. We're taking that kind of leap now, even though it's so scary. There's so many scary things that you have to make decisions about in your work. But we know that we can't do it on our own, and we can't get to where we want to go without our team behind us as well. So we're so many decisions being
You're well on the journey.
Yeah. And I think I said to Alicia, because we were like, oh, can we, it is scary putting people on permanent part-time than casual rates, because there was a time last year where we were so quiet in sales that we had to say to the girls, I'm sorry, but we can only give you 10 hours this week and things like that. So to then start having to offer permanent part-time, that we can't go back to those. So we need to make sure we do have the money every week for the girls. But like I said to Alicia, if we can't afford to pay the staff, then we don't have a business, because exactly like she said, we cannot do it on our own, and we cannot keep growing without them. So we just have to make it happen.
Yeah. And at the team that we've got, they just have such great skill sets, and they're amazing women, and we want to try and keep them.
And we will.
It just never gets less scary, does it? It's just the thing that you're scared about it just changes.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think it gets bigger and bigger.
Speaking of big, and I guess a big decision and a big process, I'd love it if you could talk to me a little bit about the trademarking of your business and your business names. I think that's really interesting, and I'm interested in when you realized you wanted or needed it and how you got started.
I just want to say first, our name, The Little Potion Co. I still remember the day when we were coming up wanting a name for our business, and literally that is the only name Alicia sent through, and I just went, oh my God, yes. And to this day, where I couldn't think of any other name. We absolutely love it. So I think because we've never had any thought of any other name, that probably was a big thing for us to trademark, because we know that our name is going to be something that is remembered.
Yeah. And I guess because I've worked in some other smaller businesses, and I've seen so many people that have had their work copied, that it is literally the only way you can protect yourself is by trademarking your name. And it's so expensive. I mean, we actually went with quite an expensive lawyer because we'd had a recommendation. And so we've trademarked the Little Potion Co., Mindful Magic, and Potion Stone, which is a little amulet that we put in our kits. And yeah, we didn't actually trademark our logo because we thought we could always redo our logo, but we're never going to change our brand name. And, you know, maybe we should have spent the money to do our logo. We've just had Alibaba, someone at Alibaba has just copied our bags with our logo. AliExpress, our logo. But there's nothing you can do with China. That you can't trademark anything in China, and you have to trademark in each separate country as well. So that's something else to note. That,
and then in different classifications as well.
Yeah, so we're in the trademark for the Little Potion Co. is in just 2 classes we did in the end. So toys and like online retail. So yeah, but it's very expensive, but it just feels good to have that done and out of the way, so then we can use that on everything. We don't have to worry. The other thing I would suggest, if anyone's looking to start a business, get all of the domain names. So we've got the littlepotionco.com.au, the littlepotionco.com, we've got littlepotion.com.au, we've got like so many different...
The Little Potion.
Just anything that you think people might type in, it's like $14 a year, and then no one else can use it.
That's such great advice. And you always go for the .com, the .com.au, but never necessarily the little sneaky ones that can...
Well, I have heard that people buy up their similar names and then direct them to their own, like competitors can do that and then direct it to their own website, and there's nothing you can do. I mean, maybe if you took them to court, I don't know, but you just don't know what people are typing in. Like a lot of the in the USA, we've had a few people kind of promote us and they always call us the Little Potions Co. or the Little Potions Company. We should probably get that one. We've got like 10 domains, so...
I think it's really important. I've got so many domains for random ideas that I've had over the years. I had to actually go through and I was like, I'm never doing that. Let's just delete that. Let's just delete that. So yeah, I think for the investment, you might as well protect yourself. It's great advice.
And the other thing we probably, like in terms of thinking like trademarking things, we do, obviously all our kits have different names and things like that. We are quite mindful to make sure we look them up on trademarks to make sure they're not trademarked by something that we, obviously, yes, you can change it later, but, we don't want to have products that then we have to completely change the name because someone else has got something trademarked. So
we almost launched with our first kit called Flower Fairies. And then we were like, I'm going to check that.
Yeah. And I mean, because we knew Flower Fairies is a very, like they're a book. We all grew up with them in the 80s, Cecile Barker. And yeah, so we thought, let's look these up. And yes, Flower Fairies is owned by like basically her kind of, I'm not sure if she's from the 20s. So I actually don't know if she's.
Yeah, I don't know who owns the rights.
Who owns the rights.
Trademarked in every class.
Everything.
Yeah.
Wow. So we even had our first kit printed as the Flower Fairies. And then, yes, we probably left that one a bit late. That was something we probably should have known from the start.
Yeah.
But yes, we had to kind of end up throwing those out and come up with a new name. But at least
Enchanted Garden.
Yes, Enchanted Garden, which was our very first kit, and to this date is still pretty much our top seller.
Amazing. I like that name a lot. That's a really good one. Mixing family and business. Do you ever argue?
Oh, yeah,
all the time.
What do you argue about?
Her way, my way, work. Yeah. Alicia wants to do it one way. Alicia wants to wait on things. And I'm like, no, let's do it now. Not trying to do something and you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. But we're very good at, we'll have a quick little pick at each other and then we just move on. And then we generally laugh at it. most of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, sorry, I was being an idiot. And
Yeah.
it's like, yes, it was I.
And I think being family, we can do that. You couldn't do that in most partnership relationships. I think you'd have that kind of, the relationship would break down a lot faster. I think because we've grown up bickering.
It's definitely a sister bicker.
And then we just get over it. We don't hold grudges for most things. And we just get over stuff. And that's just in life in general. It's pointless holding a grudge. Just,
we learn from it, learn from it, let it go and move on.
Yeah.
Thinking back to the kitchen table, to the very first potions that were made, all the trial, the error before you were launched, what do you wish you knew?
We were talking about this before, actually. I thought you might ask that question after listening to your podcast. So many business owners that I've spoken to, and I think we have to agree, is if we knew now, back then, we would never have started the business.
If you knew how many hours of work running a business,
if we knew how, I mean, we kind of knew, but we didn't know how much potential, like we knew it had potential, but didn't know how much it would grow so quickly. I think maybe we would have jumped in faster if we knew that we were going to be on this trajectory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I just feel like we end up where we're meant to be. All of the things that we learn along the way get us to be where we are now. If we knew all of the things, we wouldn't have had the learnings that we've had through the mistakes and the things that have gone wrong. That's how you learn. So, I think, we are where we are because of what we've been through. That's life, I guess. Life and business intermingled.
Aren't they just always intermingled? You mentioned earlier in our chat how it feels when you receive messages, DMs, voicemails, anything from your customers and your community and how they feel about your business. That just resonates so deeply with me because I know every single time somebody leaves a review on this podcast, I just am on cloud 9 for days after, messages, things like that. They just really do keep you going when you know that you're helping people, and that community support is everything on this journey. So to finish our episode, how can the listener and I support you on your journey through these next stages?
Well, you can follow us on the socials. You can check out our website if you want to. Leave us a review if you have purchased a product. But the main thing is, if you think that someone might like one of our potion kits, just tell them. Tell a friend. If you, the word of mouth, that's the way until September last year, we'd never advertised. So it was all word of mouth. So it's absolutely incredible how word of mouth can work for a business. So just tell just one person that you've seen our product if they might like it, or tag them or send it to them in the DMs on socials. That's the best thing that you could ever do for a business, I think.
And I think also I always love, we create magic and we create magic for children, but there's magic in everyone's life. So I would just say to people, find the magic like in your everyday simple things and just appreciate that magic.
Oh, I love that. Even your sign off on your emails with magic regards always makes me feel so happy, and it's such a beautiful place to end. I'll make sure to have all of the links to your website and socials in the show notes so the listener can go get around you, get around your products. Thank you so much for joining me today. You've created absolute magic, and I am so happy that I got to hear your story. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Kim.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
One quick thing, if you're hearing this, you've listened all the way through. Hopefully that means you really like this podcast, because it's pretty generous to give up 40 odd minutes of your time for it. If that is the case, please leave the show a star rating and a review. It helps me reach so many more people who might also listen all the way through and get some benefit and some support out of it. Not to mention, it puts a real spring in my step to read them. Thank you for listening to Unemployed and Afraid, the stories of starting over with your host, me, Kim Curtin. If you love it, you can say thanks with a star rating and a review, and of course, join the community on Instagram and LinkedIn. Find us at Unemployed and Afraid. See you there.